Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 16 of What If Naruto Became a Green Lantern. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 17 of it, comment down below and let me know. The like goal for this video is 200 likes. So like this video to let me know that you're interested in this series and you want the next part. Check out my new videos of My Hero Academia what ifs in my second channel and give it some love as well. Link is in the description. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. He had been having the same dream for weeks now, since the mission in Bialia. He didn't know how, but he always knew it was since the first time he had it. He was flying above what he guessed he would call his home city of Happy Harbor, since that is where Mount Justice resided. He wasn't alone though. Each time he was with a girl, Gan to be exact. They were flying hand in hand over the city. Just flying, no trouble, no mission, just the two of them. Eventually, they stop and just float in the sky facing each other holding hands. His and her faces getting closer and closer to the point they would kiss. It was then that Konoken woke up. Why is it only in my dreams that I can fly with her? He thought to himself. He tried again, making a small jump. Nothing happened. He gritted his teeth and started to shadow box, thinking of how unfair it was to have a moment where he was flying with a girl he started to have feelings for. And for just a moment feeling what it was like to be him. To be Superman. The thought of his progenitor got him so angry that he threw a punch at an invisible opponent. Suddenly he felt an energy that he never felt before. It was like he was in that pot again, feeling the sun coursing through him. A second later he felt another energy, only it seemed to come from within himself. Almost like the first feeling of the sun had set it off. At that moment his hand glowed a bright blue, and a burst of energy surged through, hitting the wall in front of him, cracking it. Connor looked at his hand as it stopped glowing. What's happening to me? He asked himself. Connor, it's Calder. You and Gan are requested to meet us in the mission room, said the voice of the team leader in his earpiece. On my way, said the boy, as still shaking off his surprise. This was something he needed to bring to Naruto and Dinah, but at a later time if Calder's tone suggested. It looked like another mission. He entered the mission room to find Gan already there. Batman was there along with Red Tornado and Naruto in full Green Lantern uniform. It was the one person in there that he did not expect. Superman was there. The two of them met eyes for a moment before the Man of Steel averted his eyes. Connor frowned at this, but kept his anger to himself, given that everyone else was here, and it had to be for a mission. What the mission? He asked. Batman pulled up the mug shots of 4 villains. On the 4th of July these 4 ice villains staged simultaneous attacks. Mr. Freeze, Icicle Jr., Killer Frost and Captain Cold were easily taken down. Too easily it seems. Both Killer Frost and Captain Cold were sent to Belle Reve Penitentiary, he said, pulling up an image of the prison. While Icicle Jr. was sent to a juvenile facility and Freeze sent to his cell in Arkham. But Freeze petitioned to be recognized legally sane and Jr. sued to try as an adult. Thus both are now on a transport to Belle Reve. The Dark Knight continued. Meaning that they wanted to go there in the first place, said Naruto. Exactly, said Batman, who then turned to Superboy and Gan. I'm sending the two of you in undercover to find out why. Who inside the prison will know it's them, asked Aqualid. No one, I'm afraid. We don't know who in the prison staff could be in on this scheme. Could be no one or it could be everyone, said Naruto. My question is, who are they going as? The so-called Terror Twins, said Red Tornado, pulling up a video of 2 teenagers raging destruction across the city of New Orleans. They've been laying down a path of destruction in 3 states of the southern United States. No demands except one, it would appear, said Superman. Attention, said Connor, looking straight at the Man of Steel. Correct, said Superman with a tone suggesting something that neither he nor Naruto had trouble detecting. He'd have to ask Kurama after the briefing. Martian Manhunter and Superman will handle them, and the two of you will take their places and find out the plot inside Belle Reve. Any questions? Said Batman. Silence followed. I will assist in making sure you are briefed in further details, as well as making sure Superboy fits the profile in his appearance. Mainly to ensure his hair follows suit with the male twin brother Tommy, said Red Tornado. Very well, dismiss, said Batman, turning off the displays. Naruto could not help but notice the tension between Superman and his younger counterpart, especially as the older Kryptonian made a glance at him as he left. I sense regret in Superman. I think he wants to reach out, yet hesitates, commented his partner. You're sure? Asked the young shinobi. I can never be sure about these things. That's your department, Naruto. What I can tell you is just what I think. And I think he wants to reach out, but won't for some reason, said Kurama. In other words, it's complicated, more of what I don't need, said Naruto. At least there's something I can do about this situation. Calder, you, Connor and Gan got this mission. I'm going to stay behind, said Naruto. May I ask why? Said Calder. He knew the lantern long enough now to know that he would not pass up a mission unless there was a reason. I'm going to try and get Superman on board with helping Connor at long last. Keep it between the two of us, alright? Said Naruto quietly, trying to make sure that neither Connor nor Clark hear him. Not likely, but still worth a shot. Very well, said Calder. Good luck. They both noticed that boy of steel heading towards them and Calder left. What's going on? Connor asked. Nothing, just need to take care of some stuff here, said Naruto, glad to see that Connor was too focused on everything except his conversation with Calder. You're not coming, said Connor. Not this time. Besides, with you, Gan, and Calder, it should be enough for an undercover job. More people are not an asset on a mission like this, Naruto explained. I guess, said Connor. Naruto then noticed something was off about him. Everything okay? He asked. Hey, after the mission I need to talk to you about something, said Connor. What's up? He asked. The boy of steel began. I woke up this morning, and I was frustrated, so I started to box, and at one point my right hand glowed blue, and somehow managed to force some sort of energy into the wall. Naruto looked at him for a moment. Is this the first time something like this is manifested? Naruto asked. Connor nodded in response. I got frustrated and it just happened. It might be a side effect when I put chakra into your system. Have you had any other abilities come up? Naruto asked. Not yet, said Connor. Should I pull out of the mission? That depends. Do you think it will affect it at the moment? Naruto in turn questioned. Connor seemed to think on it for a moment. No, I can handle it. Good. When you get back we will discuss it further, okay? Said Naruto. Connor nodded as he left. Well, that was interesting, he thought. He's worried, and rightfully so, but committed to his mission, said Kurama. Naruto just pinched his nose to his partner's amusement. One thing at a time. He then reached into his earpiece to call Dinah. Dinah, it's me, said Naruto. I read you, Naruto. Could you come down to the cave? There are matters that I want to discuss. One of them being the situation between Clark and Connor, he stated. I'll be right there, said Dinah. Naruto deactivated his earpiece. Red Tornado, could you come down? I need to talk to you as well, Naruto asked as he pulled up on the reports from each mission that the team has done. Soon after, Red Tornado flew down beside him. Is there something I can help you with? He asked. Just a couple things before Dinah and probably John show up, said Naruto, turning to him. The first thing you can do is look at these files and tell me what you think. I have read the files of each mission already, said the android. Look again. And look closer. Humor me, said Naruto. Red Tornado said nothing as he did as he was told. A second or so later he turned back to Naruto. There appears to be correlation. As if the enemies that the team have faced so far are in fact working together. For what purpose I am still unsure of, he said. Or for that matter who they are working for. Our first mission had Sportsmaster as the emissary for a client. The same client that had the brains to come up with the formula and supply it to the Cobra cult, said Naruto. All of which you already knew, said Red Tornado in a tone that suggested that he was stating the obvious. Just wanted to see if I wasn't the only one, said Naruto. I can assure you that are most likely not. However, there is still not enough to confirm. Just enough to be certain, said the android. Everything indicating that you are in fact quite bored. Bored? The shinobi questioned. It's been obvious for some time. Between you trying to help the team with training, or sparring with Black Canary, or simply patrolling, you've been trying to find something to do. Now you are looking into this situation, where there might be an external element to recent crimes. The case of boredom is it or can be one prime reason aside from the pursuit of justice. One like anything is not to be ashamed of from what I have observed, Red Tornado explained in his monotone voice. Naruto just stared at him for a moment. I could have told you that, but it was much more fun to observe, said Kurama. Shut up, furball, Naruto said to his partner. He could hear the laughter coming from him though all the same. Be that as it may, said Naruto. That I guess leads me to another question. Which would be, what do you know about the Helmet of Fate? He asked. What about it? Asked the normally welcome voice of Dinah with John in tow. Oh? Said Naruto. I didn't hear you guys come in, said Naruto. We just came in the Zeta tube just a second ago. The Martian responded. Now what is this about the helmet? I was just asking about it since Red here served on the JSA before coming to the League. More specifically as to why the Lord of Order has this need to be kept on the host. I figure it being a helmet, the host could just take it off whenever they wanted to have some semblance of a normal life. Naruto explained. To that I don't know. I am not even sure how Ken Nelson managed to convince the Lord of Order that it was his time to leave his employ as it were, said the android. The only way to truly know how is to ask him yourself. Which means putting the helmet on yourself, risking Nabu never letting you go, said Dinah. I have an idea to get around that, said Naruto. Regardless, there's something else I need to speak with both of you. So now you are changing subject after suggesting that you may be trying to convince a lord of a dimensional plane not to take possession of people, while also letting on that you may try to put said helmet on just to talk to him, said Dinah with her hands on her hips and a scowl on her face. I told you I have a way around it, said Naruto. Which I would like to know how you plan to pull that off, said Daina. Naruto sighed. I told you about jutsu, right, said Naruto, to which Daina nodded. Jutsu? John questioned, to which Naruto could understand given that it was the first time another league member was hearing about it. Techniques from my homeworld, said Naruto. Anyway, there's one called the Shadow Clone Jutsu, a specialty of mine. I can use it to make clones of myself, be it just one or a few thousand if need be. There's a small-time villain that we know that can do something to that effect as well. Billy Numerous, he calls himself. Punk kid with the ability to create clones, said Daina. So you know what I'm talking about, said Naruto, to which Daina and the Martian both nodded. So that would mean that you plan to use this jutsu to clone yourself and use said clone to put on the helmet, said Red Tornado. Exactly, it'll let me talk with Nabu, said Naruto. The other two looked to each other for a moment before turning back to Naruto. Okay, said Daina. Sound like you should give it a shot. Glad to have approval, Daina, said Naruto sarcastically. I only asked to make sure you're not putting yourself in harm's way, Naruto. I like to think that after the months of us training the team and our sparring sessions, that we may have become friends instead of just allies, said Daina. Hearing the hurt tone, Naruto took a step closer and grasped her on her right shoulder gently. We are, he said. Look, I'm sorry. I've been having some issue with people in authority questioning my every move lately, and I've been trying to keep busy from being bored. But I shouldn't have taken it out on you. She looked at his hand for a moment before turning back to him and smiling with a relieved look on her face. It's alright. I guess I was being a little overbearing, she said. Just trying to keep you all out of trouble. I appreciate it, he said, taking his hand off her. Back to the matter of why I called you both here. It's time we dealt with the Connor's issue with having his mentor being distant. Finally, I was wondering when it would be time to get Clark involved, said Daina, being very excited. I agree that something must be done to have him involved with his clone, but Bruce has already tried and failed to convince him to do so, said John. But I know something that the Bat doesn't. I know that there is something that Clark knows about Connor that we don't, or at the very least I suspect that is the case. Which is why, along with the three of us, the key will be Diana. She's the one who got me to thinking that there is something that he knows that we don't, and for that reason alone, we must know what it is, said Naruto. Alright, I will contact her to meet us here, said Daina. Better yet, have her arrange Clark to meet us at the Daily Planet, said John. Which then I presume you will be facing Nabu for that chat, said Red Tornado. Which would be now, said Naruto, walking towards the room where they kept the souvenirs of the team's missions. Now, said Daina. No time like the present. Make sure to tell me when the arrangements are made, said Naruto. The three of them just stared at each other for a moment. He seems to know what he is doing, said Red Tornado. That's what I'm afraid of, said Daina. We had similar doubts when he faced Amazo alone, and yet he proved correct then. And he will still be on the outside world, said the Martian. In any case, he has job. Let's do ours. Souvenir room, are you sure about this? Asked Kurama. Not you two. I thought you said you could handle this if Nabu goes off and tries to possess me through the clones somehow. Naruto questioned. I said I was confident I could handle him, and I am. That does not mean I'm not trying to be cautious. We still don't know all that Nabu is capable of, said his partner. Just be careful, that's all I'm saying. I will, Naruto assured the fox as he looked at the helmet. But we got this. With that said, he made the familiar T-hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu, he called. Immediately following, a puff of smoke appeared with the clone in the same garb minus the power ring. Let's do this, boss, said the clone, grabbing the helmet. The clone took a deep breath and put the helmet on. Instantly he found himself in what seemed to be an endless void with nothing around him. Looking around, the shinobi found a bright light, and within it was in fact the helmet of fate floating inside of it. Nabu, I presume, said Naruto. You are not a real house body, said the voice of the Lord of Order. How very observant, said the Naruto. No, I'm using this clone of myself as vessel so that we may speak. Whatever you wish to accomplish is moot. Unless you plan to make your true body available to me, I suggest you take it off and leave this place, said Nabu. Awful grouchy, aren't you, said another unfamiliar voice. Nabu turned to find himself face to face with Kurama. The helmet version of Nabu inclined upward. The only sign that Naruto could see that if he was surprised. Allow me to explain something to you. The only reason that my friend here is using a clone body instead of his own is because he has become more cautious when doing reckless things such as this. However, when it comes to keeping his mind his own, I am the first line of defense, and one that is not to be trifled with. So I suggest that you listen to what he has to ask you. Otherwise things might get unpleasant, said the tailed beast. And there you have the situation presented to you in full, said Naruto. The Lord of Order turned back to Naruto. You are full of surprises, Naruto Uzumaki. You know my name, the shinobi stated. When I was inside of Kid Flash's mind, I saw the images of those he considers his friends. Your name was among them. Thought I did not expect to find you to have such abilities or allies at your call, said the Lord of Order. Unpredictable might as well be my middle name, said Naruto. But we are getting off topic. Indeed, said Nabu. Very well. What is it you want to know? You already know what he wants, said an older voice. It was Naruto who turned to see a debonair old man in a business suit walking with a cane. Kent Nelson, I presume, said the lantern. Correct, young man, said Nelson. But you're not here to talk to an old man. He turned to Nabu. You know the question he came here to ask since his clone put on the helmet. And frankly, with his big friend here, I suggest you answer. You wish to know why I insist that the helmet be worn at all times by my current host? Nabu stated. The answer is simple. As I told Kid Flash, this world needs Dr. Fate. That's debatable, though to be honest, having a powerful magical ally definitely wouldn't hurt, said Naruto. But my question retains to the reason why someone needs to wear your helmet all the time when a person, like Nelson, managed to retire and have another life. My avatar is the helmet boy, said Nabu with surprising anger. Ken Nelson kept me in the Tower of Decades, and now I sit in this mountain's room like a trophy. It is not just. Ah, said Naruto, starting to get the reason. Mr. Nelson. I left the helmet in the tower, since I knew it would be most protected until another was chosen, said the old wizard. Though I didn't exactly give Nabu a list of possible candidates, I grant you. And why not? Said Kurama, getting interested. As someone who was stuck from one prison to another, I can see where he is coming from. No offense, kid. No, I'm with you on this one, Kurama, said Naruto. Nelson took a deep breath. The reason being that becoming Dr. Fate can be a lifetime deal. When I was younger, I took the mantle without hesitation because I felt the need to protect others. But when I met my wife, Inza, she showed me that there was more to life than the battle between good and evil. So in the Justice Society, I retired and put the helmet there. I may have left him there, but I wasn't going to let someone just walk in like I did and potentially give up that life they could live. I get what you're saying, Nelson, said Naruto. But at the same time, they should have that choice. He then turned back to the helmet. But it has to go both ways. How do you mean, said Nabu. The fact is, you're right, Nabu. The world needs Dr. Fate. With the emergence of Clarion, and who knows how many magic-based enemies, that the League faces a little more of the supernatural on our side, would be a benefit, the shinobi said. However, what I wouldn't abide is someone giving up their entire life to do so. There must be a balance. What my friend here is saying, Nabu, that when and if there is someone who comes along that fits the bill and is willing to put your helmet on, then they can take it off when they are done for that time. You know the whole secret identity that goes on this planet, said the tailed beast. Impossible, said the Lord of Order. I must be warned at all times for dangers of the magical realm. If you don't, then I will have no choice but to throw your helmet into the ether of space. Preferably after sending Mr. Nelson here to the afterlife with his wife, so he isn't stuck in here with you for all eternity, said Naruto. This arrangement also means that when the host is no longer able, whether it's because he or she is too old or they want to live their lives on their own terms, you will grant it to them. They can help you find a new host, but no more of you being a permanent part of it. Otherwise no one will want to become your avatar. Naruto further explained. And before you start ranting, know this, said the tailed beast. He will not waver, and he is not bluffing. Either you take his deal, or find yourself in the void. Your choice. The Lord of Order just floated there for what felt like forever before finally answering. Your terms are acceptable, he said finally. Be sure to find my next host soon. Thank you for your time, said Naruto with a small hint of smugness. With that said, the helmet form of Nabu disappeared into the ether. What's your name again, kid? Said Nelson. Naruto Uzumaki, said Naruto. Well, Naruto Uzumaki. I have to say I've never seen anyone get the better of Nabu like that, said the old man with a satisfied smile. I had my partner here to help with that, said the lantern, gesturing to Hez the fox. Yes. Quite the surprise. And quite the defense against Nabu taking you over, said the sorcerer. Between the two of you, even I doubt that Nabu could have taken you over even if he wanted to. He could have tried though. Couldn't be too careful of that. Hence why he created the shadow clone in the first place, to make sure that didn't happen, said Kurama. Clone? Asked Nelson. This is a shadow clone that I used as a go-between this realm and the physical, said Naruto. I see, said Nelson. Smart thinking. Like Kurama said, I've gotten smarter when doing something stupid, said Naruto. Are you sure you want to stay here? It could still be some time before we can find anyone who could fill your shoes as Dr. Fate. Like I told Wooly when he was in here, Nelson said, taking out his watch. He opened it to reveal the picture of what Naruto assumed must be his wife. That this is the good thing about eternity. You've got plenty of it. And for your sake I hope that you don't have to wait too much longer, said Naruto as he walked away. Just one thing though, said the old magician. One of Nabu's gifts is his ability to see one's fate. A possible one anyway. Well, I myself do not have this gift. It doesn't take a Lord of Order to know the veil of destiny that cloaks you. It is something you might consider asking him about when the time comes. Personally, I would rather not know, said Naruto. I've been the child of one prophecy, and it coming to pass gave me great pain in the end. I would rather make my own fate. And with those words the young lantern disappeared. Something tells me that choice or not your destiny will come to pass, said Nelson in the void. Naruto soon found himself back in the room once again. His clone took the helmet off just as Dinah entered the room. Naruto, are you alright? She asked, looking at the clone then to the real version and back again. The clone shrugged, putting the helmet back onto the shelf and disappearing in a puff of smoke. I'm fine, Dinah, said Naruto. I just had a chat with Nabu. After some talking he has agreed to terms that both he and whoever becomes his host will live with. That soon? It's only been like 5 minutes, said Dinah. Really? Said Naruto. Time must pass by differently in the mental realm inside the helmet, cause it feels a bit longer than that. Well, for however long it took, at least that's one matter taken care of, said Dinah. Superman's problem with Connor is next on the list then, the shinobi stated. I talked with Diana, and she says to meet her and Clark later today on top of the Daily Planet after he's done with work, said Dinah. What's your plan for that situation? Basically get him to open up on why he is being distant in the first place, and get him past it and accepting the fact that Connor is here and he needs his help. Now I dare say even more so, said Naruto. What do you mean? She asked. I mean that Connor's powers are developing. Before he left he told me that he threw a punch in the wall a short distance in front of him, shattered under the force of it, said Naruto. Dinah's eyes widened in surprise. Could this be a byproduct of you sending some of your chakra into his system? It's more than likely. Though how it's developing I don't know. Which why we need Clark's help. In that case I hope this meeting goes in the direction that best helps Connor, said Dinah. I'll see you at the Daily Planet. Naruto nodded and she left. Naruto moved to do the same, but took one last look at the helmet of fate. Are you worried about what Nelson said? About destiny cloaking you and all that? Asked his partner. I'll try not to think about it, said Naruto as he took a breath and left the room. We make our own fate. Yet even as he walked away there was a feeling he had. That maybe that was not always the case. Daily Planet, Naruto, John, and Dinah with both he and her inside a bubble flew down on the top of the Daily Planet. They saw that both Diana and Clark, both garbed in their civilian appearances, were already there waiting for them as they landed. Good view of the city from here, said Naruto, trying to diffuse some of the tension he could already feel from the Man of Steel. Most tend to think so, said Clark, looking at the horizon. But that's not why Diana asked me to talk to you all, is it? You already know why we are here, Cal, said Diana. It's about Superboy, Clark stated. He has a name now. Connor Kent. We thought that it seemed to fit given his origins, said Naruto. Clark seemed to tense up for a moment, but then relaxed a little. Anything? He asked Kurama. It's strange. First there seemed to be maybe resentment, but then oddly acceptance before his emotional wall came back up, said Kurama. Naruto smiled. That was a small step but in the right direction. It doesn't change the fact that he doesn't me. He needs all of you, said Clark. Yeah, the whole reminder of what he isn't. I got that from Bruce, and truth to be told it's bullshit and you know it, said Dinah. In not so harsh language I have to concur with Dinah, said John. We know that your DNA being stolen from you was a violation, and you have every right to be angry about it. But there is no call to take it out on the boy. Whatever else he may be, he is innocent of that. Clark stood with a look on his face that Naruto didn't need Kurama to read. He could see the emotion on his face now. He knew that Clark knew what John said was the truth, and that he wished to be able to help Connor. But there was still something holding him back. Here's why I think on this, Naruto began. Everything that John said you already know. So either you are not the man that they think you are, or you know something else about Connor. Something so disturbing that it is the one thing that is keeping you from reaching out your hand and being the mentor that he needs. Clark's eye widened for a moment, but that was all that was needed for the others to realize that Naruto was correct. Cal, said Diana, putting her hand on his shoulder. What is it? He took a breath and spoke. You've all noticed that he doesn't have all of my powers, and that the ones he does have are weaker than mine. We noticed, yes, what of it? Asked Dinah. There's a reason that is happening. He's only half Kryptonian. He's also half human as well, said Clark. How do you know that? Asked John. The night when Cadmus was destroyed, when I first saw him, and he showed the shield on his torn up white suit, I used my X-ray vision to scan his DNA. Sure enough I saw Kryptonian genes, but I also saw human in there as well, said Clark. That doesn't quite explain the distance from him though, said Naruto, knowing that from what he gathered about him that Clark felt that Earth was his home, and that his people were as much as well as he would have with any Kryptonians or any other race for that matter. It was then that Naruto's eyes widened at a realization when Clark asked a question. Whose DNA do you think was used? At that they all looked at each other. First in confusion and then realization, as they thought the same thing. Lex Luthor. His is the human part of the gentleman Connor, Diana asked, but from Clark's look it was the truth. Okay, said Naruto after a moment with that thought in all their brains. Besides the disturbing factor that can attribute why would they even put human DNA with Connor in the first place. If I had to guess, I would say trying to clone a pure Kryptonian was too difficult with it being alien DNA. On top of which I don't know how even a pure clone would react given how difficult it would be to replicate artificially," said Clark. More to the point, the boy could have been programmed mentally with what orders that could be hiding in his subconscious. Luthor might even expect me to embrace him to learn who I am and any other secrets he could ferret out. So you see, it not just how I feel about what was done to me. It's what might happen if Connor becomes something that I may have to stop. He then turned around to face the view of the city to calm himself down. Naruto, Dinah, and John understood where he was coming from. When he came to this planet and looked at the team, he knew about Connor being a clone, and from the League report about the Genomorphs telepathically programming him. However, what he talked about was a small chance since Calder, Wally, and Robin busted in and disrupted what was going in that place. On top of which they had both John and Gan to prevent what he was saying might happen. Before any of the three could explain this to him, Diana gave them a look and shook her head as she walked up to Clark. "Let her handle this," said John in his head. He looked at Dinah and nodded, which gave confirmation that she got the same message. She walked towards him and placed a hand on his shoulder, turning him to look at her. "Cal," she began, "what has been done to you was a crime. One of which you have every right to be angry of. At Luthor especially. But you know that doesn't give you the right to take it out on the boy. From what I have heard from Dinah, this boy does not demonstrate any of the traits that you are afraid of. Aside from the anger he feels for not having the one person who knows what it means to be an outsider." He turned away in shame of that fact, but Diana just gently placed a hand on his cheek to turn him back towards her. "I'm not shaming you, Cal," she said gently. "I'm telling you that what you have felt is not a sin. It's not wrong to feel violated. But this boy did not ask to be created. Take your anger out on the people who have done this. Not Connor himself, whose only crime is being here regardless of where he got his human genes. He is still part of you. And I believe the best part that can only be awakened by you." With that, Clark just smiled and took her hand in both of his. "You're right," he said. "Thank you, Diana." He then turned to all of them. "Thank all of you for finally getting my head out of my ass." "No need for such words," said Diana. "Your worries are valid. But if any such programming does exist, we shall face it together." Clark nodded. "Thank Kami, that's over," thought Naruto. "There's just one thing though. I'm still not his father," said Clark and held both hands out. "Hear me out. Fact is, even though he's barely a year old physically, he's 16. I'm in my early 30s from a human age point, but thanks to my Kryptonian DNA, and with the power I get from the sun, the chances of me looking anywhere near my age is pretty slim. Frankly, I don't think taking him as my son is going to work for either me or him. So being his big brother would make you both more comfortable," said Naruto, going with what the Man of Steel was saying. "Exactly. Truth be told, he and the rest of the team have enough authority figures. I can be a bridge between those two roles. Plus it would give me a chance to guide someone in that fashion," said Clark. Naruto could tell that the more he talked about it, the more he liked the idea. So did he and the rest of the group. "I think Connor will like this relationship as well," said Diana. "I can tell you from experience it is much easier to converse with those you consider your siblings than those you consider your parents. We will have to wait for what Connor says, but I think you guys are right," said Dinah. "When Connor returns from his mission we can discuss it with him then," said John. "Yeah," said Clark with a heavy sigh. "I've got some apologizing to do. And there is something I need to discuss with the both of you about his powers," said Naruto. "Let me know when he and Gan return to the cave." "I will be there," said Clark. He then turned to Diana. "We should get back to the watchtower. Care to join me?" "Always," said Diana. They flew off to what Naruto assumed was a Zeta tube in Metropolis. "John," he said, telepathically getting the Martian's attention. "Link me with Dinah, there's something I wanted to ask her, but not within Clark's lung proximity of hearing." John smiled and nodded. A moment later he heard Dinah's voice in his head. "What is it, Naruto?" said Dinah. He could tell by her tone that she was a tad worried. Not surprising since he asked to talk to her telepathically. "It's just an observation, but I kinda noticed their interaction, and it seemed more intimate than just friendship," he said. The two of them looked at each other with an odd look. "Am I missing something here?" Diana and Clark have been close friends pretty much since they first met. The couple of years before the League, when she, Superman, and Batman stopped a plot by Ra's al Ghul. Ever since the League formed and expanded, we've all kind noticed what you noticed tonight, Naruto," Dinah explained. "Hence why she calls him Cal. I'm assuming that's his Kryptonian name," said Naruto. "Yes. Kal-El," said John. She was the first person he told of his true name. She believes that name fits him as well as Clark, but she likes calling him Cal better. She thinks it fits better in her mind, though she sees no distinction. Another sign of their attraction is it seems whatever problem they seem to face, their first reaction is to either talk to each other, and in battle they work best together and watch each other's backs. "Equal partners," said Kurama, careful to keep the mental shields up so that John did not sense him. "I see. And here I thought he was seeing that Lois Lane woman." said Naruto. That was a sore subject. He found out that she seemed more interested in the part of him that was Superman rather than the rest. Diana also had a human attraction to a man named Steve Trevor, but he had trouble adapting to the world that we live in and the fact that he seemed out of place with her, said Diana. Well, if they seem like a good match, why don't they just go ahead and start dating already? Seems kinda obvious how they are meant of each other, Naruto stated. You are not alone in that regard. However, the reason is quite simple. They don't want to lose their friendship, said John, though the shinobi could see the reason for it was silly to say the least. Even Naruto from just one observation could tell that the friendship they had built with each other was the strongest of foundations to have a relationship beyond being friends. Something that he himself wished he could have had. He shook his head as they were still linked, and did not want John or his fellow blonde Diana to pick up on his sadness. Well, if that's all, I will see you two later, said Naruto out loud. Take care, Naruto, said John. He nodded and flew up back to Mount Justice. That was rather abrupt, said Diana, shaking her head. She was not used to mind linking as the team was. It was still a rather strange feeling for minds to be so intertwined with each other. She to John, who was looking at Naruto leaving. Indeed, said John. It seems like Clark and Diana, he too keeps his emotions well hidden. You picked up on that too, said Diana with her arms crossed. Yes, but something else. When we were linked, I could sense his mental shields. As if he was keeping something hidden, though I could not tell what it was. I did not pry into his mind, but I could sense it. Not that I could find out in any case, said the Martian. Really, said Diana, know how powerful and skilled a telepath he was. Yes. His mental defenses are the best I have ever seen. Even on Mars I only knew a few with such defenses, but never as potent as his, said John. Diana nodded as she thought about what her friend had said as he flew her Zeta tube to go home. Questions that had been at the back of her mind since she started sparring with Naruto were coming to the surface. She knew there was more to the young man, that was clear when they saw him fight Imazo. But now knowing that someone like John would not be able to read his mind, even if he wanted to, made it all the more apparent. What else don't we know about you, Naruto Uzumaki? Belle Reve Prison. Superboy kept pounding away at the wall, hoping to get to Mgan in time before Killer Frost and Devastation kills her. He had managed to trick his partner Icicle Jr. into reactivating the collar, and now he could concentrate on breaking this wall. That is until Mr. Freeze, Mammoth, and Blockbuster showed up. I went back to the warden's office. Hook and Abra were taken out by ice before the colors came back online. Me, your father, and Cole were with me, so that leaves the two of you. What are you talking about? Icicle Jr. questioned. We stopped the collars from turning back on. Oh, and you welcome. When Freeze glared at the young upstart, Superboy saw his chance. Don't you get it? It's just like what we saw in the cafeteria. He's making his power play against your pa, he whispered to Icicle Jr. It was then that they stared each other down with the same thought in their minds. Traitor, they both yelled and fired ice at each other while the two bruisers went after the boy of steel in disguise. Superboy managed to fend off both his attackers, redirecting Mammoth's punch by grabbing his fist with both hands and throwing back a Blockbuster. However, he saw that, while Icicle Jr. had raw power, Freeze had more experience using ice with whatever tech he had in his suit to compensate. How about we switch dance partners, he asked. Deal, said Icicle. From there, Superboy leaped into the air and crashed his fist into Freeze, smashing his helmet. Freeze, realizing that his suit was compromised, he knew only one way to survive was to fire ice onto himself. It would keep him alive, but it would immobilize him. Superboy turned to see his partner having contained the other two with his ice powers. I can't hold them forever, he called out. Don't need to, said the boy of steel as he ran shoulder first into the cracking wall and finally plowed through. After the dust settled, he saw two women who he knew were Killer Frost and Devastation. Well, it's the brother. Care to share with Sister Tuppence's fate? Said Frost. It was statement, not a question, as she gestured to Mgan in her disguise trapped in a cascade of ice. Superboy gritted his teeth. First came grief, of what might have been if he just spoke of his now emerging feelings for her, then came the rages. His eyes were burning. That's when he felt it again. The energy he felt in his room right before his shattered the wall, while being away from it by a few feet. Like the warmth of the sun flowing through him. An idea struck him. He took hold of the warmth and focused into his eyes. They felt like they were literally burning. When he opened them, rather than emitting the beams of heat he'd intended, they'd instead begun to take in the infrared spectrum. The heat signature he saw from the both of them, albeit with Killer Frost being lower if only for a moment, filled his vision. Until with a yell he looked directly at Devastation, and blasting her with beams of extreme heat to all their astonishment. Devastation was hit hard into the wall, cratering it and falling to the ground. When it was over, Superboy thought he had killed her, but a groan from her told her she was still alive. Which, given her background on fighting Wonder Woman, he wasn't that surprised. Although her midsection was scorched. He then turned to Killer Frost, the person who froze Mgan. Before she could react, he punched her in the face with just enough force to know that she was out cold. As angry as he was, he would not kill. It was shame what Daina and Naruto had taught him about restraint. He then turned to Mgan, who was encased in ice, and grief and despair soon started to fill him. What the hell happened? Asked Icicle Jr. coming in after freezing the mammoth and Blockbuster. He looked to see what he thought was tuppence frozen, and that was enough to get him up to speed. Oh dude, I'm sorry, he said with genuine sympathy. And she was such a babe too. Superboy was about to break the ice, but the young punk stopped him. Hey dude, you'll shatter her into pieces. Assuming she's even still alive. But that Superboy in his grief spoke to her in his mind. Mgan, please, don't leave me. Suddenly the ice cracked. It continued to crack until the ice fell apart with Miss Martian still disguised coming down face first. Superboy rushed to her side and knelt down as she managed to get back up to her knees. How? He asked. It was cold from where I came from on. She started to say. It was then that the Kryptonian decided he didn't care as he caressed her face. To her and Icicle Jr.'s shock, he kissed her. Miss Martian's eyes widened, but that was quickly dispelled as she closed her eyes and kissed back. Dude, that's your sister, the junior villain yelled out. That illusion soon came crashing down as Miss Martian transformed back to her normal form, but they continued to kiss. Wait. If she's then you're... Icicle Jr. put a hand to his head. Dad is going to kill me. He saw the newly formed couple, and before he could try anything he suddenly felt lightheaded and fainted to the floor. All Miss Martian did after that was just moan softly. Mount Justice. Connor and Gan stayed in the ship after it had docked in the bay. After their impromptu make-out session, they had explained to the now former warden of Belle Reve Prison, Amanda Waller, of their mission. Waller was, suffice it to say, not pleased that the League would send 2 of its members into what was her prison without prior notification. Fortunately, the new warden, Dr. Strange, kindly thanked them for their service and sent his regards to the League. All I'm saying is that he was a bit creepy, said Connor to Mgan. Perhaps, but he is still the warden. And hopefully Belle Reve will be back to normal with the inmates' escape attempt foiled, said their leader. In any case, good work from the both of you. They disembarked in both the Martian and the Kryptonian alone. So does this mean we are together? He asked rather shyly and quietly. Mgan smiled. After that kiss we just shared. Definitely, she said to him telepathically while reach out and bringing their hands together. But if it's okay with you, I kinda want to just keep this between us for now. With Wally's mouth, that's probably a very good idea. Not that we have anything to hide, it just I think we want this to be just ours. Not the team's, said Connor, who then rubbed his right hand on her cheek. She leaned into his touch and the 2's faces were getting closer when Connor heard 2 footsteps coming. We got incoming, he said. Ring check. It's a date, she said with a tone, and with their link he could feel the excitement at that word. She waved and flew off. Connor turned to do the same until he saw who was coming. Naruto and Superman. Well, something happened, said Kurama. What do you mean? Naruto asked. I mean he's happy, which would be a first. It's guarded though, which is unusual, said Kurama. Naruto noticed that Mgan left not long after he and Clark were walking to the hangar. Naruto wasn't that oblivious, and had to contain a small smile at the probability of what he was thinking. Then his day is about to get even better. Clark, in full uniform, walked up to his clone. I understand that you and Gan managed to stop a prison escape today, he said. Yeah. Good thing none of the guards were okay. Though Amanda Waller was forced to resign as warden, said Connor. In any case, he did good work, said Clark. Thanks, said the younger Kryptonian, surprised at the sudden praise from the person who had been keeping his distance from. How did you know what had happened in Belle Reve? Connor asked. Word travels fast here, Connor, you should know that, said Naruto. An awkward silence fell between them as Naruto waited for one of them to further the conversation. So I heard you have a name now. Something besides Superboy, said Clark, scratching the back of his head. Oh yeah. Connor Kent, said Connor. My secret identity is Clark Kent, said the Man of Steel. Connor's eyes widened at what that meant. I didn't know. I wouldn't have. It's alright, said Clark, putting a calming hand on his shoulder. Truth is, I'm glad, Connor Kent. This feels right. This made the boy smile. Both at the gesture, and what appeared to be the acceptance of the man he wanted to be. Look, Connor, I know I have been cold to you. Mainly because I was afraid that people behind the project of your creation would do with my DNA. But I should not have taken it out on you. I'm sorry for that, said Clark. Thank you, Superman, said Connor. Please call me Clark or Cal. After all, we are family, said Clark. Naruto could tell that Connor was trying to restrain himself from crying out in joy over him saying that. So wait, when you mean family, are we talking father and son or like brothers? The young man asked. I would prefer brothers, mainly cause appearance-wise it would be kinda hard to sell, said Clark in a way to briefly explain why. No, I like that. It's actually a lot better than the alternative, said Connor. So does that mean I get to punch you if you get out of line or something? He didn't say he could make jokes, said Clark to Naruto. He's learning. Though I wouldn't recommend it, unless you want to risk a hurt hand, said Naruto. I might be stronger than you might think, said Connor, getting both of their attentions. Today during the prison break Idomgan was in trouble and I don't know, but I felt this energy from within me, and suddenly I was able to use heat vision on devastation. The surprise showed on both of their faces. Is this similar to what happened in your room? Asked Naruto, to which Connor nodded. What happened? Clark asked. Connor gave a quick explanation of how he managed to punch his room's wall while he was standing a few feet away from it. I think it's best that we go somewhere where I can analyze Connor and get an idea on why this is happening, said Clark. Where? Asked the boy of steel. North, said Clark with hint of mystery in his tone. Naruto, you're gonna have to carry him since there isn't a Zeta tube where we are going. Naruto and Connor looked at each other with the same question. Where were they going and why was it north? North Pole. If someone told me I would going to the North Pole and entering the fabled fortress of Solitude today, I would have called them crazy, said Naruto as they entered the Crystal Fortress, the last remnant of the engineering feats of Krypton. Both Naruto and Connor stood in awe of the fortress both from outside, and when they entered the awe became even more intense as they walked the halls. The thing that got their attention was the statues of what they both assumed was Clark's birth parents, Jor-El and Lara, said Naruto to Clark's surprise. How did you know their names? He asked. My predecessor, Tomer, knew your father before Krypton's destruction. He even tried to help, though it was too late, said Naruto. We're going to have to talk more about that, said Clark. In the mean, if you would both follow me. They did so, before they heard a strange sound. Is that barking? Asked Connor. Oh yeah. I don't often have guests here, and there is one defense mechanism that I can never turn off, said Clark. That defense he talked about came running towards them at super speed and landed in front of the two of them, in the form of a giant wolf dog with a red collar that had a gold-ass shield hanging off it, growling at them. Meet Crypto. Crypto, this is Connor and Naruto, he introduced. Naruto was not scared easily, but seeing this dog look at them like enemies did make him a little intimidated. Don't worry. Just let him give you both a sniff. He's a pretty good judge of character, said Clark with no small amount of pride. You first, said Naruto. Connor just shrugged and laid out his hand for the dog to smell it. After a second, Crypto leaped onto him. Naruto was concerned, but only a moment before he saw the dog licking Connor's face. The boy of steel laughed. Okay, he said, petting him on the head. I like you too. Should have had Crypto check you out sooner, Connor. Might have helped me get my head out of my ass, said Clark. Now that you are acquainted with him, come with me. I have chamber that we can use to scan you. We'll talk while Naruto and Crypto do the same thing you did. Do I have to? Naruto questioned, remembering his not so good luck with animals in the past. Yes, unless you want him growling at you, said Clark. Connor soon joined him and left the lantern with the super dog. Don't be a baby. Who knows, maybe your luck has turned around, said Kurama. They are more likely he's going to chomp my hand off. Naruto responded as he reluctantly held out his hand to be sniffed by Crypto. He did so, and looked at with an odd look, before licking his hand then rubbing his face on it. Figuring that he just wanted to be petted, Naruto did so, and the beast gave a pleased whine. See, not so bad, said Kurama. All too soon though, Crypto jumped on him and was licking him on the face as well. Naruto couldn't help but laugh as it seemed that the dog wanted him to get comfortable with him first, before licking his face off. You're a smart one, aren't you? Said the shinobi, getting him to a kneeling position and rubbing the dog's face with both hands. Let's see what your master and his brother are up to, shall we? He asked. Crypto nodded excitedly and ran off to where Clark and Connor were. Connor was being scanned by two crystal spheres, with Clark on a console with hollow images showing images of what Naruto assumed was the boy's readings. The spheres soon stopped and traveled back to whence they came. Well, I think I might know why you're getting new powers, said Clark, pulling up the image of Connor's X-rays, only far more detailed. In the image they saw what appeared to be some kind of aura that was surrounding him. What is that? Asked Connor. Clark answered. Along my dense molecular structure I also radiate a bioelectric around me. This meters from my own skin. Hence why bullets and other objects that hit me don't destroy my suit. Only magic and projectile, solid or energy based, strong enough has broken through it. What you're seeing is something similar to that effect. So how does him getting this ore give him new powers? Asked Naruto. That's the part I'm confused about. He already had the ore, said Clark, which also made the two of them both confused. Technically, Connor, your body is a close physical match to mine. However, it's your brain that's the problem. It has too many human neural portions to properly access all of your powers instinctively. At this, Connor nodded. Naruto noticed that Connor wasn't disturbed of finding out his human half was holding him back. I told him about him being half human and where the genes came from before we started the test, said Clark. Yeah. To say I'm disturbed by the fact that I got Luthor DNA in me is an understatement, said Connor. But I managed to use heat vision today, so what changed? He continued, getting back on subject. Clark and Naruto thought about it for a moment. What were you feeling during that time? Asked Naruto. Well, anger at first, Connor began. I clenched my eyes and then suddenly, like in my room, I felt this energy inside me. Like I was feeling the sun. Next thing I know, I opened my eyes and my infrared visor activated at first, but then it got brighter until I saw nothing but red. Next thing I know, I'm blasting devastation in the chest. Clark looked at the readings again. I think I might know how this has happened. Your aura has always been active, but your brain could never process it. Somehow though you managed to instinctively access your solar energy reserves, and through that activate a Kryptonian power. He explained. The question is, how did this even happen? I think I might have the answer, said Naruto. Some time ago I gave Connor some of my chakra. Chakra? Clark questioned. Is it the name of the energy circulating through you through the second circulatory system you have? This made Naruto's eyes widen. How did you know that? During your fight with the Mazo, I did an X-ray on you to see if there was anything being broken, and I saw the energy traveling through your body via the system you use. I can see it now flowing through you, though it's different than when I saw you fight a Mazo. Like it had something extra during that fight. Clark explained. Yeah, you could say that, said Naruto, rubbing the back of his head, not wanting to explain that he was in Sage mode, which combined nature energy with his chakra or senjutsu, so decided to get back on topic quickly. Chakra is made up of both physical and spiritual energy, Naruto explained. From what you are saying, my guess that the spiritual side of it must have acted as a go-between for Connor's mind and body, thus allowing him to bypass his mind's limitations. What does that mean exactly? Asked the Boy of Steel. It means that you can access your reserves of solar power instinctively now, and thus have access to your powers, but you still need to do it purposefully. In conclusion, you need to know where you can put the energy, in order to access your powers. Case in point, your eyes, said Clark. Connor thought about it for a moment before realizing what his new big brother was talking about. I channeled it into my eyes, which gave me heat vision, he said. Exactly, said Clark. So will I be able to use others? Super breath, even flight? Connor asked, excited. In time, yes. You can even channel that energy to augment your speed and strength. Not my level, but the process is similar enough to the way I use solar energy that I can teach you how, and to access more than one power. It will take time though, but between me, Naruto and Dinah, I'm sure we can help you reach your potential, Connor, said Clark. So when can we start? Asked Connor. Next week. If that's alright with what you and Dinah had planned, said Clark, turning to the young lantern. Sounds alright to me. I will confer with Dinah, but I don't think it will be a problem, said Naruto. Great, said Clark, turning back to Connor. During that, there are a few more members of our family you should meet, Connor. Those that raised me and where we get the Kent name. I'm pretty sure you're gonna love them. Naruto could see the smile that Connor had on his face continue to grow at how Clark said his words. Our family, he had said. So I guess I will see you back at the cave, said Naruto, walking back the way they came in while petting Crypto goodbye and flying off. I think that went very well. Connor's gotta be on cloud 9 right now, said Kurama. Naruto said nothing, but he agreed with his partner. But now he had someone else curious about his powers, and could see how they worked with his eyes no less. He's not the bad. He's not going to ask questions, unless it pertains to his new sibling, said Kurama. Yeah, you're probably right, said Naruto. Still, having one of the most powerful beings on the planet, if not the universe, be curious about him, might raise more curiosity. Lex Corporation. Luthor was looking at a video that his fellow Light member, Dr. Strange, had sent over to him. The video seeing Superboy use heat vision on devastation. Suffice it to say that he was curious and disturbed by this development of his son. Before Dr. Desmond became Blockbuster, he had informed him that they were nowhere near developing the boy's powers beyond strength, speed, hearing, and infrared vision. So how was it that he had heat vision now? And why wasn't it without any help to suppress his human genes? The billionaire rubbed his chin. Something had changed. Something they had missed. For now, he would advise more caution with the team and try to find out more from their source on the inside, and continue with their plans. That was all they could do for now. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.